back to another issue of the Country Camera. I've got a mission today. We're going to be headed out and I'm going to be doing some shooting. I'm going to be carrying two lenses with me today. I'll have the 24-70 f2.8 Nikon lens. That's version 1, not version 2. And I'll be carrying my 180-600 to hopefully stumble into some wildlife photography opportunities. I desperately want to love that 180-600. My results so far have been, average. That being said, I've probably played more into the lens's weaknesses than I have its strengths. Obviously at maximum focal length, 600 millimeters, it's a 6.3 lens. Doesn't do a great job of gathering light in poor lighting situations. And obviously as wildlife photographers, we do most of our shooting in challenging lighting situations. So I can't really fault the lens yet. Again, I'm shooting in situations that just don't play to its strengths. Right now, when we're headed out, it's midday, intermittent sun. Don't know whether we'll stumble into any wildlife or not. I'm literally just walking out my front door into the woods across the road. So we'll see what we can find. Threw in the 24-70 millimeter just in case we have some landscape opportunities, nature opportunities during the walk. So yeah, come on with me. Looking forward to getting out there. I haven't been out in the woods for a week or so. There should be some wildflowers coming up. Just a nice walk, if nothing else. And we'll see what we can find. So let's go for a walk. So I just had a pretty cool experience with an owl. Was not expecting to see an owl out midday like this. He actually came down on the ground, the far end of this pond. Unfortunately, because he was on the ground, I had a lot between me and him. Had a hard time getting focus locked on. I don't think I ever did get focus locked on. Probably spent too much time messing around with autofocus. I should have just tried to focus in manually. But frankly, my eyesight's not great either, so I'm not sure trying to manually focus would have worked. Got a couple of shots. We'll see how they come out, but definitely a really cool experience with it. I think it was a barred owl. Not expecting that today, so definitely a bonus. So cool. That was pretty exciting. Loved it. All right, folks, we're back in the studio after our little jaunt in the woods yesterday. And I did the same exact hike today, back to the same pond, but I did it right. I got up at stupid 30 o'clock this morning and was actually on site and set up before the sun came up. So that's usually a better plan when you're hoping to find some wildlife. I did have an amazing encounter yesterday with that barred owl. It didn't quite pan out how I would have liked it. The photo opportunity there was challenging to say the least, but it was an awesome experience nonetheless. Today, a little different story. I was kind of hoping to see the owl again. He was in the area. I could hear him. I could hear the crows pestering him, but he didn't show his face today. But the wood ducks did show up, so I think I got some good shots of the wood ducks, and we'll show those here in a minute if they come out. Hoping maybe I even have a print-worthy photo or two, and if that happens, certainly put those photos up on so you can see them and maybe walk through the matting and framing process for one of them, so bring it full circle. One of the points I wanted to bring up today and talk about my failures yesterday. We always learn from our mistakes, or we try to at least. And yesterday, that owl landed on the ground, and I presumed that it was probably eating a frog. It was on the edge of the pond, but it landed in some brush and some grass. The camera was having a really hard time with the autofocus locking on to anything. His head was kind of down. They're pretty well camouflaged anyway, so the camera was really struggling with the autofocus, and I messed around with the autofocus way longer than I should have. I should have gone to manual focus, but again, my eyesight without my reading glasses on isn't stellar, and as soon as you put glasses on, they fog up, so it's lose-lose. So yeah, I messed around trying to get a shot while he was on the ground, and it would have been a mediocre shot at best anyway. Even if I had gotten everything in perfect focus, just where he was, it just wasn't going to work. But I stayed with it. I tried to make it happen, and it just didn't happen. I didn't get any good shots of him in the ground. There was really, frankly, there was no good shot there to be had in the position that he was in, or she. What I should have done in hindsight is just given up. I should have given up on that shot, knowing it just wasn't going to happen and it wasn't a good shot. And what I should have done is, as active as that owl was, I should have anticipated the takeoff. And I should have just waited. I should have changed my camera settings. I have one of the back buttons set up for a birds in flight. I literally could have just hit that button, been ready for him to take off, and I would have had some great opportunities of him flying. He actually took a couple of beats, wing beats, right at me before he veered off and landed in the tree. The tree shot is the one I ultimately ended up with. It's a decent shot, but nothing to write home about. But I should have anticipated what was coming next, given the fact that I wasn't going to get a great shot where he was on the ground. Anticipated his next move, been ready for that bird in flight shot. I would have had some really cool in-flight shots of that owl at a good distance facing me. Would have been nice. But yeah, know when to bail out on a shot. And that was an instance where I should have, because it just, like I said, it wasn't going to be a great shot. Even if I had gotten everything as perfect as I could have with the exposure and the focus and everything, it just was going to be mediocre at best. Should have just bailed on that and got set up for the bird in flight shot, which would have been a cool shot. Anyway, lesson learned on that potentially, and just wanted to pass that along, that at some point, maybe it's okay to bail out on a shot and just anticipate what's coming next. The other goal of yesterday's and today's outing was, I'm still putting that 180 through the Nikon 180 to 600 through its paces. Trying to get familiar with it, trying to decide. Like I said, I really want to love that lens. It's so versatile. It's got a great focal range. But a lot of the things that I've tried to do with it, I think I've highlighted its weaknesses, which is starting to skew my opinion a little bit. Today, I think I gave it a more fair shake and allowed it to shine a little bit. Better lighting situations. The subjects were closer to my camera, so I was able to fill the frame a little bit better. I was shooting on a tripod, not handheld. I dropped my shutter speed way down just to keep the ISO in check a little bit. So we'll see how those come out. Cautiously optimistic that maybe I had some good shots there. But yeah, I have to keep my expectations realistic too. This isn't a 400 2.8 TC. You know, I bought it used. Every piece of equipment I own is used, by the way. So I have to keep my expectations realistic. I can't expect a $1,700 lens to perform like a $13,000 lens, which the 400 2.8 with the built-in teleconverter is. Would I love that lens? Yeah, I sure would. As well as the 600 with the built-in teleconverter. But I think if you give this lens a fair chance at succeeding, the results will be good. Unfortunately, the bane of wildlife photographers is shooting in poor lighting conditions. That's no exception. So the 6.3, it is a bit of a handicap. It is what it is. You're not going to get the same shots that you're going to get with the 400 2.8 in poor lighting conditions. You're just going to have to wait for the light to get better, or put up with high ISOs and deal with the noise, or drop your shutter speed and shoot high burst rates, hoping you can get a good sharp image at a low shutter speed. So yeah, just I'm hoping that I can find what works and what doesn't work with this lens. Cautiously optimistic that I got some nice shots today. The lighting, as the day progressed, as the morning progressed, was pretty good. So we'll see how it comes out. Looking forward to that. Part two of this experimentation is I just bit the bullet and I bought DxO Pure Raw 6 yesterday. So as I mentioned, the bane of wildlife photographers' existence is noise created by high ISO, because you're always shooting in poor lighting conditions. So high ISO equals noise equals frustration. So we'll see. I ran DxO Pure Raw 6 on a couple of my older files yesterday, and cautiously optimistic about that. It looked good. I was impressed with it. I've tried, and I have Topaz Labs. I use denoise in Lightroom, but everything I've read and early testing looks like DxO Pure Raw 6 may beat all of them. So hoping that that'll be another tool in the toolbox that'll help some of these high ISO noisy images that we're always dealing with look a little bit better. So today's photos, early morning before the sun came up, I had a beautiful a hen wood duck come in and land at a nice distance, came up on a log, was preening on a log. This was before the sun had come up. So yeah, low shutter speeds for a few of the shots, and higher ISOs with some of the other shots, which introduced some noise. So we'll see how DxO Pure Raw 6 handles those, and we'll get those posted up for you as well. Switching topics, a couple of things to be aware of. You probably saw in some of the video that I shot yesterday of me trekking through the woods that my pant legs are tucked into my boots. It is peak tick season here in Vermont, so just be careful if you're out there in a tick environment. Lyme disease is no joke. Springtime tends to be the worst for ticks around here, so I try to do the best I can to tick-proof myself. Tuck the pants in, get some spray, permethrin, tick repellent spray on your boots, on your pant legs. Don't put it directly on your skin. But yeah, do what you can to tick-proof yourself, to keep your enjoyment of the outdoors fun and safe, and not have to deal with Lyme disease. Just a side note on any kind of bug repellent, just be careful spraying it around your camera equipment. Generally, that stuff does not mix well with optics and camera gear. All right, it's day 3 of this video installment. Time to wrap it up and put a bow on it. So day 1 was the midday outing with the owl encounter, where we talked about it being okay to bail on a shot from time to time. Probably the smart thing to do. Certainly in that case, I should have, and prepared myself for the bird in flight shot, which I missed out on. Day 2 was the early morning rise yesterday morning, the wood duck encounter. That was a lot of fun, lots of activity there on that little pond out in the woods. Had a great opportunity to test out that 180 to 600 millimeter telephoto Nikon lens. Basically, I was happy with it. It did well in some challenging conditions early in the morning. So yeah, I think having the expectations realistic about what its strengths, what its weaknesses are, and using it correctly within that window, I think you're going to be happy with it. I'm certainly happy with it. I'm not going to offload the lens and go look for something else. I think it's going to be good. It's going to be a very versatile lens for me. Great tool in the toolbox. I also have the 500 millimeter PF lens. That's a fun lens to shoot. It's a little lighter than the 180 to 600. Really sharp lens. So those two work nicely together. So yeah, happy with the 180 to 600 and the DxO. Now I've had a chance I shot a lot of images yesterday with the wood ducks, and I've had a chance to edit a lot of those. You saw some of the results with the hen wood duck there with DxO Pure Raw, and I'm sold. I really like it. I think it does a great job. I think it outperformed Topaz Labs and the denoise feature in Lightroom Classic that I also use. So yeah, I'm a believer of DxO Pure Raw 6. So I can recommend that. I'm not sponsored by anybody, so that's just me saying that I was very happy with the results. So anyway, that's a wrap for this issue. Thanks so much for your time, for hanging out with me and listening to me ramble along on all things photography and the country camera. Do me a huge favor and just hit that like button or subscribe. It helps grow the channel and push the content out to the people that might enjoy it as well. Thanks and take care.